Lions head coach, Mziwakhe Nkosi. We'll start with questions on the floor and then we'll go online. The games begin.
Coach, you must be happy.
Yeah, I think in particular with the first half. Second half was a restaurant, yellow card there and there. Should I give an honest opinion or? Okay. Unless someone says I'm quite harsh again. No, to be honest, good first half. Second half a bit restaurant, but we were cognizant of that 13 changes for guys who haven't played rugby since. I think the URC must have finished ever many months ago. So yeah, we were cognizant of that.
You must be happy with the way Christmas played.
Yeah, Christmas has been a great addition to us. Credit to the people who do the recruitment here. He's been a good addition, leader guy. In fact, he's been really good in terms of how he's dealt with Sam Francis and Cade and those guys. So yeah, he's made a hell of an impression on us as a coaching group and on the team. Very humble guy. So yeah, hopefully for him to get 60, 65 odd is good for him, and maybe 1 or 2 times just before the URC season starts will be good for him and good for the team.
Coach, did it feel like a much more secure space when you look around? You've got the URC players coming in, playing some of their first minutes, some are Springboks as well. Does it feel a lot better as a coach to be able to lean on certain names, certain players in this competition? How did it just feel better to have certain names around?
Yeah, I think you guys asked Pierre the same question. Obviously, one wants to coach, and I must pick my words carefully. One wants to work with the best that the franchise has got to offer, but I also know where my place is in the franchise. That would have been my 3rd game, having done the 19s and 21s. So a long day for me today, but yeah, I think it's good to have Chris Smith as a fly off as an example, or good to have PJ Boeta, who of course it's your 16 as an example. So yeah, it's very good, but obviously there's a purpose and a big objective behind that.
Coach, just speak about the week that you had. Obviously, it doesn't sound like it's been the easiest of weeks. Take us through the week for you. What is comprised of the week? How did you navigate the week? What was your day-to-day type of activity? Were you with the senior team? Were you part of those plans? Because we were told that a different coach is going to take the reins today, but we see you here, of course.
Yeah, I think no franchise, and again, I see the Bulls have indicated that I'll come in and take over next week, and I understand the other franchises will do similarly. Yeah, we work in a certain organogram, and we work within an ecosystem. That's one. So part of my job as the head coach of the Currie Cup as well as the junior development rugby is that I've got to make sure that I facilitate between the two. Like I said, I did 3 games today. I did the 19s, I did the 21s, I did the senior Currie Cup. Naturally, Vessel Root did 19s and 21s, but you know, we've got buddies and those guys. We alluded to earlier that we'll have to share amongst resources. In fact, I did it last year. I coached all three teams into the final. The 19s won, the 21s lost in the final, the Currie Cup was in the finals within 2 weekends of each other. So nothing new. We probably, and I must pick my words carefully, we've probably got to, maybe as a franchise, articulate ourselves and objectives a whole lot better than what we did. Yeah, and maybe I guess we can address the other part. If you play like you played against the Cheetahs, it only stands to reason that a coach will share how he really feels. Hopefully that's not only the reserve for one Johan Erasmus, and every other coach can share their feelings. Maybe perhaps we weren't in the World Cup, but for us the Currie Cup is an important thing, and if the team doesn't really perform well, of course we're going to share our feelings. I hope I've answered all your questions.
Thanks, Coach. Yes, ma'am.
Coachy, congrats on the victory this afternoon. I mean, I don't think anyone was expecting for you guys to win by this margin. And just wanted to ask, Coachy, you spoke about feeding into Springboks and all that. Congratulations on the Lekane signing. Don't you think, Coachy, that just like other unions, your Western Province, your Sharks, that it's time for Lions Rugby at large to basically breed in new players. And when I say new players, specifically your under 20s, where there's sort of a guaranteed spot if they come from the under 20 setup into your setup, not only basically in the starting lineup, but within and around the group, so that we can basically get that crop of new players, that new talent within and around the fringes of your future plans.
Yeah, I guess let me speak about the things that we do well. I think if there is a franchise who brings players across, it's us. If I can be specific, take Mziwakhe, who was 21, who played Currie Cup as a 21-year-old last year, Araf Skuman, Jared Keynes, Delport, who was the number 5 today, was in a 21 2 years ago, made his Currie Cup debut as a 21-year-old. Nico Steyn, although he's been around for a while, he's only 22 years old, he made his debut as a 20-year-old. Sam Francis was 21, who played last year. Bronson Mills was played 24, played last year. Kelly Beck, who's come alive now, he's turning 22, was 21 last year, made his Currie Cup debut last year. I can probably sit here and talk for a long time around that. I think that's coming through, but that also happens in waves. So, you know, our youngsters have graduated, we'll probably give them a year. We'll probably bring other young guys in. If you look at Ashim P today, Mone Fenta, Tando Biela, Kalemo Mento, those guys who played in the 21s now, they're also only 20, so not even 21 yet. So yeah, I think if anything, that's something that we do well. Batu's a different one. We actually just missed out on Batu as a junior. Well, I say as a junior, still a junior, but as a school leaver, and you know, fortuitously he's probably playing behind a whole variety of Springboks at the Sharks, and maybe there's a pathway for him here. So yeah, I think to answer your question, I think if there is a franchise who's done that, that's us.
Thanks, Coach.
Could you jump on line? We'll come back. Walter, you got something? Okay, can we just go? Jan, we'll go with you for now, and then Carl.
Thank you. Mziwakhe, I think I heard what you said earlier, so my question is slightly different. Having seen what the week that you've been through, or having seen what you've seen now today, do you think the Lions are in a better position to make the URC playoffs than they were last year? Is there anything specific or that you've seen in the pre-season that you see today that's going to say to the fans, we can make the URC playoffs?
Yeah, I think the URC playoffs are far away, but what we found is that we needed, in the URC, we needed points in hand as opposed to being reliant on home games and thinking you're going to have a home stretch and you're going to cash in on those points. So the important part for us from a URC point of view is that we've got to start well. You know, that's the first thing. Then you speak about things that we've seen. I think we've got depth in one or two positions that have been troublesome for us. Fly half being one of those positions. Lou said, I think Mziwakhe has come alive nicely, in particular with Morgan's injury. I think the addition of Dylan Shawblom has added a dynamic 4-lock to us. So we've got two types of four locks in terms of Dylan Shawblom as well as Ruben Skuman, you know, who can rotate, take Rowan Fenter, who I perhaps think he might be best used at 4 to become a Springbok, considering the stocks above him, loose forwards in the country stacked. So I think to answer your question, we've seen one or two things. We've seen Nico Steyn graduate properly now. He's played some good games under his belt. Hopefully in the next 3 weeks or so we can get Hashim Peed and Leighton Horn to be good. I think Krabi will stay there. Again, I think what caught us in the season past or the last couple of seasons is a bit of depth in crucial positions. So if you say to me, what have we seen? I think we've seen a bit of depth. We're creating a bit of depth in terms of in the centres around Richard Creel. I thought he came along nicely today. We made some mistakes, but I think he's someone who can develop and bring a different element. He's got a left-footed kick too. So yeah, in a nutshell, I think we're creating depth in the right areas. Hopefully over the next couple of weeks, Jan, we can build a bit of momentum again. We'll probably make a couple of changes next week to get the cobwebs off guys who are returning, who spent a hell of a long time with Ivan and the rest of his management there.
Thanks, Jan. Let's just pause online.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Jan. We'll go to the floor and then come back to Carl.
Coach, how happy and satisfied were you with the way that Chris Smith controlled the game and brought calmness to the side?
Yeah, Chris is obviously still new. New to the way we play. We thought early on he kicked a bit too early. But one thing he did bring is a bit of leadership. And that was very much apparent at halftime. So yeah, again, we've got hopefully more than 2 weeks left, so hope we'll see how the results go. No doubt myself and Ivan will have a look. Ivan might want to keep him in Cottonwool in a week or two's time, but there's nothing wrong with that. Sam and those guys can come in and do the job. But to answer your question, I thought he did some really good things today, in particular his kicking game.
And it's an interesting move for Richard Creel at inside centre.
Yeah, we again, as I was saying to Jan, we're looking to build depth in the 12th channel. You know, from a different type of view. If you look at Rainer Jonker, Bronson Mills, probably the same player, second distributor, whereas Richard can handle himself from a physical point of view. But what he also gives you is a left-footed kick. He can kick quite well. We probably, as a franchise, haven't used him effectively with his left foot, but those are things that we've worked on in the preseason, and hopefully they can come through in terms of the URC as they come along. Like I said, the URC group gonna tour first up, so you know he's a type of guy who going to Europe first up. His left foot will make a massive difference in those conditions.
And finally from you, what was the thinking behind switching Mpeku and David's around?
Yeah, Kelly's a hell of a good chaser. You know, and on Niku's left foot in terms of the chase, who will box kick a whole lot on that side, but there wasn't a particular, other than that, there wasn't a real particular change around that, or thought process around that. And obviously Kelly was in the team. Nku was kept at 55 or 60, so he would have then gone to centre.
And Kelly is a good catching the air, but he didn't really get that many opportunities today. So we actually didn't kick that many up and unders today.
Yeah, the game actually happened a whole lot quite quickly. Chris probably took on more of the responsibilities upon himself from a kicking point of view, but we didn't kick too many contestables. This week. We probably, maybe not to give away a hell of a lot away, that the Bulls back three probably only had they had one recognized kick in our opinion. So we knew that going long we could catch them in their half. Cheswell and Apiwe aren't really gonna return kicks. So yeah, we thought we'd find purchase from a territory point of view, which we did for a large part in the first half.
Thanks.
Cool, thanks Walter. Carl, anything from you?
Yes, please, if I may, sir. Coach, it's fine now that the momentum is shifting now to the URC. And as a Lions supporter, we all hope that the Lions do proceed to the Currie Cup final. Obviously, then it will become a very difficult balancing act to balance the Currie Cup dreams with the URC, what's good for the URC and the players in. Has there been any discussions about that yet?
Yeah, Carl, I think when the weekend started, we were fourth on the log, and I didn't expect the Cheetahs to get done by the Griquas in that fashion yesterday. So you know, what you and I are doing would be mere speculation. Our challenge, myself, Ivan, the two managements, and I say the two managements, the managements at large, is to see if we can service all teams. I mean, Ashim Pete made his Currie Cup debut. The 21s could particularly do with his presence. You know, we had the 21s had a couple of injuries this afternoon. So there's a whole variety of permutations that can happen. And as you say, the first URC game is the first week after Currie Cup. So there might have to be a balancing or a prioritization of one or the other. But having said that, guys like Gianni Lombard and Jaco Versace and Reinhard Jonker, and I'm probably missing a few now. I see Vieille played today. Those guys, they've played 5 games in a row, and they haven't embarrassed themselves, have they? To beat the Sharks Province as well as the Pumas away in a dust bowl. They've done some work. So hopefully we should have come, I guess, the end of next week, 42 or 45 players who can try and go all the way in the Currie Cup, but more importantly, have a good launching pad for the RC.
Thanks, Carl. Jules?
Coach, just for clarity, does Coach Ivan take over from here, or is it still going to be you? Does Coach Ivan take over from here with the URC leading team, or are you still going to be in charge of this team going into the final stretch of the Currie Cup? However far you go in the Currie Cup?
Yeah, again, pretty similar to last season. And I asked another guy, the Bulls will do the same, the Sharks will do the same, Province will do the same. Ours is a little bit different, is I'll be involved in both sides of the franchise. So as an example, next week we play the Leopards. So Vessel Rue and those guys will go to Poch. I'll stay here, but I'll spend a large part or an equal part of the week with the Currie Cup team in my portfolio, as well as an equal part of my time with the juniors, because obviously I hit that, and part of my job is then to transition those players through. So, but I'll be here next week, put it that way.
Cool. Flo, happy? Rowan, I'll give you the last opportunity if you are keen.
Okay, Coach, I just wanted to know, looking more to the last few rounds of the Currie Cup, or the last round, what are you happiest with about today's performance that you feel you can take into that? And where do you think you need to improve looking at the playoffs and the last league game?
Yeah, I think as a coach, the set piece went really nicely today. I think Delbert and Darren, to a later extent, did really well in the lineouts. If I look at our most stop was half decent. If you look at the scrum, those 2 youngsters, Aref and Essia, did really well alongside PJ Bota. Going forward, it's going to be a challenge, because obviously Ivan and myself in particular, Ivan will have to juggle the playing minutes to start off with. But secondly, that competition will get even tougher. And the first sort of objective for us is to try and get a home semi-final. The Griquas, as you saw, put paid to the Cheetahs in an emphatic manner last night. So again, looking too far ahead, like I said to Carl, is a futile activity. We've got to see again what the stocks looks like, what decisions we make from a starting point of view, and then we take it from then. Like I said, hopefully, if we get a home semi-final, then we can make better decisions and better future outlook selections from that point of view.
Rowan, thank you very much. Coach Mzi, thank you. Colleagues, thank you very much. Have a good evening.